make a video for Jesus. Um, it's just it's something that's in my heart, and I think that because we're all human, I know that there's a lot of you that could sympathize, and maybe you could use this word today to just know that you're not alone. Um, Moms and single moms, uh, sometimes it feels like we're carrying the entire household on our shoulders. And that's because, sometimes we are. If we're a single mom, then we are. Or at least we think we are. But we are, if that makes any sense. The only reason I said at least we think we are is because we don't raise our children alone. Single mothers, they have God to help them raise their kids. Everything that you have in your house, well, it comes from God. So what I did was I I gave my children to the Lord. I said, Lord, you be their father. You know, because I can't do this by myself. I had my children young. I was a teen mom, and now they're grown, but and thank God for all His help. But when they were little, I said, Lord, you help me because I can't do this by myself. After the divorce, and I found myself living in a house for the first time in my life on my own. No mom, no dad, no husband, just me and the children. And thank God that I knew Him, that I knew the Lord at that time, because that's when I said, God, you be their father. I need them to have a father. I need them to be protected. I need them to be taken care of. And I can do a lot. But I saw a show somewhere this is a prayer that I was telling Him. I saw a show somewhere, Lord, that some lady was saying that no matter how much love a mom gives, no matter how much you give of yourself, you could give 150%, and it's never going to be enough because the kid still needs their dad. Because God made it so they could have a mother and a father. The children, there's a reason for that. So I said, then Lord, you be their father, and He was their father. My children grew up keeping the Sabbath day holy. They during the Sabbath day they would rest and or they would go to church, or they would spend time in front of the TV watching TBN, where they had the kids shows about the Bible and everything, Bible Man. I mean, it was a great service to me because the kids, well, next thing you knew was like years later they knew about Gideon's army. They knew a lot of stuff, and people would talk to them like, oh yes, I know, and then they would tell them, the kids would go ahead and tell them the story of Gideon or Samson, or whatever it is that they were talking about. And they're grown-ups now, and you can ask them and they'll tell you. And I was grateful for that, because a lot of the times the children drew their strength from that. And not only did they draw the strength from that, but their faith grew, because the Bible makes you trust God more. And when you trust God more, then you see miracles. And your prayers are answered, and my children have had those things happen to them. So I was grateful, you know. And then let's go back to Mom. Mom, you're not alone. Because I know what you're doing, okay? You're taking care of everybody. And nobody's taking care of you. But listen. He said that you're not abandoned. He said that I will not forget you. He said, see, I have inscribed you on the palm of my hands. This is what He said. So you're not by you're not. You know, it feels sometimes like you are, but you're not. Look, everything you do, everything you think, everything you feel, every tear you cry, you know, he's there. When the kids make you mad and they think that you're the bad one, he's there. If you're on welfare, when the social workers in the welfare office are rude and you're crying and you're so ashamed, he's there. If you get sexually harassed at work, he's there. He's not gonna leave. All you have to do is call him. You say, Lord, I feel alone. I'm sorry. It's getting emotional. Thinking about it, you just call him. You tell him, Lord, my kids are mad at me. You say, you know, whatever it is wrong. I'm doing the best that I can and they don't see it. And I look like the bad guy to them because I'm the only outlet that they have to yell at it. Maybe perhaps I make mistakes, but I'm giving it all I have and it's hard. It's hard. That's what you say, you know, and you just talk to him and you don't stop. And then you finish your prayer by saying, in Jesus' sacred name, amen. That's what you do. And he'll help. He will help. Whether you have a prodigal son now and one at home, just like the parable in the Bible of the prodigal son. Excuse me. Sorry, one moment. And you find yourself, you know, in a place where, like, you know, I taught them Jesus. I taught them the Bible. You know, I taught them how to live right. And then I got one that's doing it. I got one that's not doing it. Well, you know, that's as biblical as it gets. You know, and it's sad, but it's as biblical as it gets. Jesus was talking about there was two kids and their father sent them to work in the vineyard, and one kid said, well, you know, okay, Dad, I'll go ahead and I'll work in the vineyard. And he went, but he didn't do it. And then there was the other kid that the father sent to work in the vineyard, and the other kid said, "Oh, Dad, I don't want to." And later, the kid thought about it and changed his mind, and he went to work in the vineyard. So, you know, those are parables that Jesus says. And obviously, the second one was the one that did the Father's will. But they were both told what to do. And those were their choices, and that's how they reacted. They had different reactions. You know, sometimes, you know, they have different reactions. And the Bible promises that if you teach a child in the right way, that he will not depart from it. You know, and the Bible also says that the student will not be greater than the teacher. You know, so we have to strive to live righteously, you know, amidst every difficulty, because we have little eyes upon us. You know, if somebody, no, look, I'm grateful for everything. I'm just saying that having kids is a big, humongous responsibility. And 150% ain't enough. It's not. Because these kids don't belong to us. They belong to God. And we're never going to be good enough. Only He's good enough. And we are not to raise them by our standards. We're to raise them by His standards. Talk about pressure. And a lot of times, even though I gave it all I had, I came short, you know. And maybe today you came short too. Or maybe you didn't come short. Maybe you got it. Maybe you did a great job and you still don't understand, you know, where did the time go? What about you? You know, who's looking out for you? Who's there when you're sad? Jesus, honey. Jesus is there when you're sad. And who's there when you're lonely and the kids grow up and leave? Jesus is there. And then what you do is you concentrate on the things that he told you to do. You do your job, you take care of your house, take care of you, and go out there and do the thing that he told you to do. You know, go out there. What do? You do missionary work, whatever it is he called you to do, you just do. And you occupy till he comes. And you serve that great example for your children. But not to serve a great example, but because you're just living righteously for God. You're just doing what you got to do. You see? And I think a lot of times, you know, actually I know that, you know, even if you're feeling sad, when you're walking with Jesus, you can't help but eventually become healed, or even instantly. I don't know how it works. You know, everybody has their own walk. But what I'm saying is that he heals you. It starts to make sense. You start to find you, and you start to figure out, you know, why you're here. So you occupy till he comes. You rest in him. And you remember that you're also his baby. You are not something, you're not a pillar just holding the whole house, you know, and just holding, you know, and that's not all you are. You matter. You're a person. You're also his baby. And you have feelings, and you have thoughts, and you have emotions. And sometimes kids don't see that because they just see you as mom. You're not a person, you're just mom. You know, and that's just immaturity, and that's okay because they'll grow out of it, but it's irksome, you know, because single moms, you know, I give, you know, I tip my hat out to you. I mean, I stand in silence with you.